Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Analyze Scripts. We are so thrilled about a very special collaboration that we're doing today. We're going to be talking about Pippi Longstocking with our guest, Jenny Hubbard, who is the creator, director, founder of the Catherine Violet Hubbard Foundation Animal Sanctuary here in Connecticut, which is an organization we're really excited to partner with and celebrate and promote. So we'll tell you how to join us after, but we're just excited to have you here, Jenny.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to tell our listeners a little more about Jenny. So she is the president of the Catherine Violet Hubbard Animal Sanctuary, a Connecticut-based nonprofit organization working to promote compassion and healing through human-animal connection. This foundation was founded in 2013 to commemorate and honor the life of Jenny's daughter, Catherine Violet Hubbard, a 6-year-old victim of the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy, and passionate animal lover who dreamt of someday working with and caring for them. Under Jenny's leadership, CVH received a state conveyance of 34 acres of pristine farmland for the sanctuary's use, raised nearly $9 million in funding from over 12,000 donors, and garnered the attention and support of nationally recognized organizations, including the ASPCA, Cornell University of Veterinary Medicine, and the Jane Goodall Foundation. Wow. Jenny is currently working on expanding the sanctuary's facilities to include a library, veterinary intake facility, and learning barn. And so it's my understanding that every year on June 8th, to honor Catherine's birthday, there's a big butterfly party, which is, again, coming up this year. Portia and I will be in attendance, and we can't wait. And it's my understanding that it's like a big event, but also a huge adoption event. Is that right?
That's correct. The name is a little bit misleading. It's how we honor Catherine's birthday annually. And when we started thinking about how do we go about doing this, we thought about well, what was the best birthday party that I remember of Catherine's? And, it was always a process. It always started around now with what's the party going to be? And if you have little kids, you kind of know how it goes. What's the theme? And it's
right.
a do.
Right.
And so the big to do was always how nailing her down on a specific animal, because it would always start with this big let's have an all the animals animal party, and can't we just bring all of them? And so the butterfly party became this moment of how can we honor her life and also share with the community a little bit about what we're doing at the sanctuary. At the time, this will be our 8th annual. We took a 2-year hiatus, of course, for COVID. But at the time, the sanctuary was sort of this question mark in the community's mind, what is this place? And when we would say that we're enriching the lives of all beings through compassion and acceptance, it was sort of this vague, how do you go about doing this? And how come you don't have 1,000 animals up on your property? And so the butterfly party became this moment of, can we share a glimpse with the community of what the sanctuary stands for? And in doing that, we celebrate Catherine's spirit and the life.
Beautiful.
It has grown we have 8 rescues. That the first year we had 8 rescues that joined us, because that was kind of Catherine's thing. You're going to the grocery store, and moms get this, you're going to the grocery store, you've got a limited amount of time, and she would see the mobile unit in the parking lot. And I would turn around. And so can we get some rescues to come and join us, bring their adoptable animals? We cover the cost of the rescues joining the tents. We have volunteers that meet them at their car, because the work that we do at the sanctuary is really to honor the human animal bond. We believe that if we can promote the connection that we share with animals and instill a stewardship and cultivate responsibility towards their animals' care, then we become this compassionate and kind person and organization that we sought out, that we thought we were going to be when we began. So we have these rescues that come. 8. We started with 8. We are now up to 31.
Wow.
We have 9 educators, because in addition to caring for animals, we teach, as I shared, we teach kids. Here's what an animal is, and here's what purpose they serve in the world. I love it to see kids transformed from that bug's gross to can I
Yeah.
hold it? And
Mm-hmm.
so we had one educator our first year. Now we have 9. It's a free
Awesome.
family festival where we just say to people, come and celebrate the wonder and awe of animals and the peace and the love that fills that green. Is such a celebration of who Catherine was. It's an extraordinary day, and it's totally free.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. I know, I can't wait. And I do have young kids. My daughter's 5.5. My son just turned 8, and they're stoked. They cannot wait.
Oh, it's a great day.
And it's interesting too, because their little personalities are different. So my son's a little slower to warm up with new animals, and my daughter like gets right in. Like just this morning, she was telling me she discovered a larva in the dirt yesterday, and it's going to turn into a beetle. And she's telling me all this stuff. And I'm just like, she's going to love this party.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of pets too? Like in your, growing up prior to the farm?
Nope.
No?
No.
That's amazing.
My background is I studied art. I have a degree in art history.
Awesome.
And I was corporate until I had children. Best decision I ever made. I left the workforce to raise my son, and then Catherine. They're same spread as yours. And so we packed it in and came to Connecticut about 20 years ago. And I really do believe that children, which is why I love the work that we do at the sanctuary around our educational offerings. I think that kids, for the most part, know what their passion is when they're little. Like, and when you said like my kids are so different,
right,
our kids, they are so different, and I think that whatever's kind of tucked into their heart is their passion. And so when we allow children to explore that wonder and awe of whatever it is that their heart calls them to do, whether it's the arts or animals or the environment. I think about Catherine's class, and there was an astronaut and there was a ballet dancer and an activist, and just like each unique personality that I think, unfortunately, and it's kind of heartbreaking, we outgrow as we get older. Like it becomes not cool to be the girl who loves bugs. And to it's not cool for the boy to, be the dancer, but that's what his heart is, or that's what her heart is. And so Catherine's heart was squarely animals. And, she'd be 18 in June. And I don't know whether a lot of people say, well, would she be a veterinarian, or what do you think she would be? I don't know. I have no idea what course of her, what path her life would take. I do know that in some way, shape, or form, it would involve animals, because that's what her heart was. And I think that when they're that little and they can tap into it, and they can just explore it and pursue it, I think that we create these beautiful human beings that are just compassionate in their own right. I mean, I love to talk to seniors that are graduating and ask them a simple question, like, what did you love in the first grade? And do you still love it in some way, shape, or form? Like, do you have a grown-up love for whatever your passion was?
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to, and this is like so my personality, I would take all my Beanie Babies, and they were all little animals, right? And they'd all be going to the vet. And I wouldn't actually like do more than just like create like a list of all their names and the time of their appointment and what their ailment was. And like, I'm just kind of neurotic like that. So it's just so funny. That's my little personality, like create all these lists to help the animals. Right. But like, I always wanted to be like a doctor for special needs animals. And I don't even know, like I was really little at that time. Like, how did I know that was a thing, but it's just, I totally hear that.
Yeah.
That's cute. I feel like I don't know now reflecting. I guess I like movement.
Portia, you are a huge animal lover. You guys have so many pets.
I grew up with a lot of acres and frogs. And I will say it's funny because I do not have a problem. Like I'm the person in the household who will catch the mouse and put it outside. Like I've been bit, I'll pick up a frog, they'll like pee, like that doesn't bother me. And then, my partner, a lot of my friends will be like, How can you do that? It's so icky.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I think too, just if you grow up and see or can come in contact like with the sanctuary with
Right.
animals at a young age, you learn not to be afraid, or you learn that like,
Yeah.
you can hold something or you can touch something. You're not going to get sick, like it doesn't have to be icky. It can be like scary
Yeah.
at first, or,
Right.
maybe they move fast, but you don't have to be afraid. I feel like that's like limiting also for a lot of adults who just,
Right.
depending on where you live, don't have a lot of interaction with animals, can be a little bit more afraid. And then you miss out on, that
Yeah.
bond that is so healing and important.
So
And
special.
yeah, I agree.
I feel like animals teach us a lot about compassion, especially our dogs that we've had,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
talk about unconditional love. And it's just like our pets have always known, like before, like when I was early pregnant but didn't know yet, like in retrospect, like their behavior was changing. They were a lot more protective of me. They'd sniff my belly, like not like it's a microscopic at that point, right? But like,
Right.
and then like now, like when you're sad, they just know.
Right.
Like I feel like we can learn a lot from animals too.
Yeah. And I think that that's when I look at we have workshops. We offer free community work. We've taught 145,000 people over the
Wow.
past 7 or 8 years.
That's amazing.
It's insane, and it's free. There's free workshops every month, and it wasn't brain surgery. Like the land was conveyed, and we knew that we wanted to honor the human animal bond. Like that was carved in stone because that's where Catherine existed. She just wanted
Yeah.
animals to know that she was kind and that they'd be safe in her care. So like
Oh.
fundamentally, we go back to that every single time that we're doing something. So we started really thinking about, well, we know how to provide care for animals. Let's just keep them free from harm in homes and habitats. Like that's easy. But then how do you really kind of pursue this human side of things? And that's where our workshops and our educational curriculum come into play, because we can teach kids that they have a responsibility for the animals that might even be in their backyard or in their homes. Like it's your pet too. Like, great, have the rabbit, but provide the best possible care. Like there's something really cool when someone understands their responsibility, like, and you can see that light bulb go off and go, oh, wait, they're depending on me to give them care.
Right.
And there's this sort of quid pro quo that when I give this animal the right care and I see them flourish, then they give me love.
Yeah.
So when we do these workshops and we kind of sat down and we're like, okay, how do we offer an educational curriculum, a free workshop to the community to engage the community? And it was kind of simple. Like in October, everybody's talking about Halloween and spooky animals. And so we run a workshop called Not So Spooky Anymore. Like crows are important.
Ooh, I
Owls
like
provide
that.
like, so cool. So people come and learn about these not so spooky creatures. And what I love is that families come out and they're really excited because it's a Sunday. It's free. Parents are like, woo, I got it.
Yeah. I'll be there this year. I can guarantee.
They learn it's so intergenerational, because now you've got families learning together. And so often we will chuckle because the things that made us, when we were talking with we partner with a lot of Gold Star organizations, like the Audubon comes out and does our meadows have amazing birds. And so they'll come out and do a bird workshop on what can you see in your backyard and what are you seeing at your feeders and what makes this bird special. So like when our educators are giving us a brief on what the curriculum is going to look like or what the workshop's going to look like, there's always a moment where we're all in our 50s, are like, oh, I never knew that. Like, that's super cool.
For sure. And
then we see parents doing it and we're like, yes, they got it. Like they got it. So I think I love the fact that people, they're transformed. And I think just to take it a step further, you now have this family unit that had a really cool day. They were outdoors. They were off their devices. They were learning. They were exploring. They were experiencing. And they're now talking about it over dinner.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, there's this point of connectivity that was inspired by an animal. I think that when we start talking human-animal bond, and I think Catherine understood it in such an innocent 6-year-old way that was so wise, that bond is sort of the starting point for transformation.
For sure.
And I'd love to believe, And I don't know. I'm never going to be able to prove it. And I think that that's okay. I think I'm okay with that. I don't know. Maybe not. But I think that if we can change the trajectory of one person's life, like just because they came to the sanctuary and they felt like that was a place where their wonder and awe was appreciated and celebrated, like they had their place. Maybe it wasn't, maybe they don't go to the ballet studio, or maybe they don't go in the field, maybe they're not an athlete, like maybe the sanctuary is where they sort of found their footing. Like maybe we built confidence that changed the trajectory. Maybe there was a family that connected on that afternoon, and somehow we changed the course of that family's dynamics. Like, I think that the world becomes a little bit different, changed by that one person. And maybe there's a conversations that's had around some of the really important issues that we're having in our country today. Mental health, gun violence, just bullying, and all of those things that are really complex. Like maybe they're changed because someone learned a little bit of compassion. Maybe someone became softer or open to understanding different things. Like maybe some things change. Maybe we avert some sort of school shooting because someone found a place to come to rather than being isolated in their home. I don't know. There's going to be no measurement of this. No one's ever going to say, oh, that didn't happen because I went to the sanctuary. And I think I'm okay with that. I would love to know, but I think I'm okay with that.
I mean, I think like you're right. Like we're not like surveying people and collecting data, but I think in our line of work, we can definitively say, especially when you're a child and you feel like you might not belong or you might not fit the mold, finding that spot where you do does change the course of your life. So I fully believe that your organization and all the work you're doing is doing that. You might not be able to like get an award for it or point it out specifically, but of course, I totally believe that. And I was just thinking too, how beautiful it is that, you know, this human animal connection often does start so purely and innocently in childhood. Like I'm just thinking my own connection with animals has changed primarily with my daughter, who loves all the creepy crawlies. So like I don't kill spiders anymore, you know, we just let them be. And like I don't think anyone realizes how much courage that takes on my part, you know, but then it can expand. And I'm just thinking of all of my elderly patients who also have such a strong bond to their animals, and how it can just really, like you're saying, that little seed can get planted and change even the course of that individual's life. And especially I'm thinking through COVID at a time when so many people felt isolated, like how much we need that connection.
Yeah. The work we do with seniors is, I mean, it leaves me dumbfounded over and over again that something so simple. We offer veterinary care, basic veterinary care, and food support, pet food support monthly. And when needed, foster so that people can go and
that's great.
visit. When we started looking at how do we care for animals, wildlife is a big thing. We've done a ton of habitat restoration up at the property, and we will continue to do that work. We also started looking at how can we provide care to companion animals? How can we provide care to farm animals? Because we're a farm. We're on a farm. So we can't have animals at the property right now because we don't have a caregiver, because we don't have a building. So it's sort of like as we work to create this, to construct this building and raise the funds for the building, how could we deliver care to animals? And it was a trip to Cornell. We have a relationship with Cornell Vet. So we were up there. They were showing us their shelter. There was this beautiful lab who was just very sad looking. And the question to the folks at the shelter was, what's going on with that lab? And the owner had to surrender his pet because he couldn't afford to take care of it anymore. And so now you've got this lab who is in a shelter. It takes 7 times longer to adopt a senior dog versus a puppy. So you've got this dog that who knows when he's going to find his next home. And you've got now a human who's heartbroken because, as you said, their only source of responsibility and purpose and companionship gone. And there's a level of defeat. Like, I couldn't take
Yeah.
care of this animal, and
Right.
pride in that. So we kind of chase the idea down, and we have what's called the Senior Paw Project. We work with affordable housing communities and provide services to financially insecure seniors. We feel like we can do a world of good in being just stopgap. So before they get to the shelter, let's try to minimize
that's so
some of
great.
the impact that
Yeah.
a financially insecure older adult is dealing with. These folks, the folks that we serve, they're usually their income at the their disposable income is $750 a month after they've paid everything. And if they fall on one unexpected
Anything. Hospitalization,
call it
bill.
anything. Yeah.
Right. Your car
Price
breaks
of gas.
down.
You
Right.
know, the pet industry grew. The cost of owning a pet grew 11% last year.
Wow.
And these folks, I'm drawing a blanket what exactly the Social Security increase was, but like what was didn't match. So now you've got these folks, and the ones that we serve have told us that by the time you get to week 4 of the month, they're eating tuna. They're eating peanut butter and jelly because they want to keep their pet's diet consistent, which is not healthy for the human.
Right.
So us going in and providing the service now allows them a little bit more financial freedom to support their own nutritional needs, to support those things that a lot of them are putting off medical care, or they start cutting their prescriptions in half because they can't afford it.
No,
Horrible.
Yes. I saw so much of this working at the West Haven VA.
Yeah.
Like you were just speaking to like countless numbers of patients I saw who were doing the same thing. Then they end up in the hospital, and their primary concern is, I can't stay here. My pet's 100%. My pet, like people come in with like a heart attack and they're like, I can't stay.
No.
And so then we have social workers who try to help, and 100%. I have seen this so many times, and how healing that pet connection can be when you are lonely or going through a hard time.
Right.
100%.
Physically, like even keeping people active. I mean, like walking your dog, or that sense of responsibility to the world and to another being. Like, I think there's so many lonely adults, older adults. And I think, also a lot of people are hesitant to adopt to them. It's like, well, what's going to happen if the pet, if you outlive the pet. And I think organizations like yours can really kind of like buffer that. Well, it's important for both animal and human to have this bond as long as possible, and we're going to help you do that. I think I don't think it's like super, well, I don't know, it feels like a population to me that's often forgotten, hence the loneliness and isolation. And so I really am very heartwarmed to hear that.
Me too.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I love the work that we do with the Senior Paw Project. We're in 45 affordable housing communities. We just moved into Massachusetts because we figured it out that if we work through social workers and the resident service coordinators at these communities, we can get the services to the folks that need it most. A lot of the people that we call them clients, a lot of our clients are hesitant because they feel defeated. Like they don't want to ask for help. There's a trust issue. And so going through the resident service coordinators, what we find is that they have built in trust, and to be able to say, listen, I'm going to get you this service. We're going to get you some help. Community wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness, emotional wellness. Everything is improving in these communities. So the RSCs are helping us sort of deliver these. The issue we have with the Senior Paw Project is funding. It's exhausting to me, because when we go to a lot of the funding organizations that support pets, Bissell, Petco, all of them, they're hard pressed to figure out how can they allocate resources, because they're not our animals. We're not a shelter. We keep them in their existing homes. Then we go to like the human side of the equation and say to some of the organizations that support older adults, would you fund? We invest probably about $1,000 of an animal annually. And so we'll say to folks, and we have 258 in our program right now. So,
Wow.
and once you're in. So we keep them lifelong. So, a lot of the organizations that support older adults, they're like, well, it's care that's not really going to the older adult, it's going to the pet. So, the
But then it is
program,
going to the older
it is,
adult, right? Like
look,
by
it's
proxy,
yeah, but I think that as
Right.
our society sort of shifts, and it's a slow shift, I think that as we
Mhm.
start shifting to recognize that there is something tangible about that human animal connection, and that does
Yes.
impact our social and emotional and our physical well-being,
Yes.
then the tide will start changing. But it's just, all the Senior Paw Project is funded through private donations,
Yeah.
Wow.
which is nuts
I was just
that we
thinking
can keep
too,
it going.
it would be so cool. And if you ever need our help, let us know. If you did a study where you would give the senior adults like rating scales ahead of time, like we have different evidence-based rating scales about like mood scores, anxiety scores, what we call ADLs, activities of daily living, like where you're trying to assess how independent someone is, like are they having symptoms of depression, things like that. It would be so cool if you did it like before your intervention, midway, and then at the end. And I
Yep.
bet you'd get data that proves it is going to the older adult, right? Like I feel like
I would
so much
love
of
that.
our world like relies on this like hard data, and like that's
Mhm.
such an easy thing to do.
Mhm.
And I bet I could say like almost 100%, I'm sure the numbers would skew in the positive direction, because how couldn't they?
Right.
Right. Well, yes, I will take your
Let's
help.
figure it out. Let's
Yeah,
figure it out.
let's figure it out. We'd love to help. I mean, yeah, I was so stoked that we're, creating this relationship with you, and we just
Yeah.
love your foundation as two animal lovers ourselves. And I think in the mental health field, like I talk to my patients about their pets all the time.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
personally love my pets, right? Like it's just like everything we're talking about is so important. And I also
Yeah.
think it's just such a beautiful way to honor your daughter and to do
Thank
it
you.
year after year and see it grow. Like I just think she's so proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know
Yeah.
we got to ask too, thinking of Pippi Longstocking,
I
right?
know we totally
Yes.
forgot
Red
about Pippi
hair.
Longstocking.
Katrina and I were laughing. We both were her at one point in
For
childhood for
Halloween.
Right?
Halloween.
Yep.
And
With
I was
the
like, Catherine,
With
what
like
is
the
it? The
coat
pipe
our
cleaners.
hangers.
hair,
Yep.
right? Right.
Yeah.
Catherine didn't need the hair color, she's
Right.
No.
she's beautiful hair, and
No.
I just love that. And I was hoping you could share a little bit of like your connection to Pippi and Catherine's connection and what it means.
Because she's got a spunky personality,
Mhm.
Pippi.
Yes,
That's what I love
as
about her
did
as a girl.
Catherine. Yes.
Yeah.
So quite the movie girl. And I loved it. Like, loved a good movie.
Mhm.
Would like just cozy on in. And
That's the
it
best.
it was just she and I one weekend, and we would go to the library, because literally, like, I packed in my career and was like, you know what,
I get
we're
it.
gonna have to make some choices here.
Yeah.
But they were cool choices. So we would
Yeah.
go to the library, and we'd check out movies.
Yeah.
We'd watch the movie. So like Pippi Longstockings was a classic. Like, I
Yeah.
watched Pippi
Oh
Longstocking.
yeah.
But there was this connectivity with, one, the red hair,
Mhm.
two, a horse in the
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, right. And Catherine had just started riding, which was so cool.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a budding equestrian. She loved it. Me, not so much. I would mortified, because she was tiny. She was this little tiny waif of a thing.
Yeah.
But boy, like, there were moments in that movie where Pippi would be like, her hands would be on her hips, and she'd just be defiant.
Yes.
And I would think, oh, you have found your kindred spirit. I remember she would get to laugh, and there's one scene in the movie where Pippi is washing the floor and had made like roller skates out of the scrub brushes, and is like on the floor, like moving around and scrubbing, and nowhere was there an adult. Nowhere to be
Right,
Exactly.
right. That was like
Who
the
needs
fun.
them?
Mhm.
That's why it was so fun. Yeah.
I could see her brain working, and I would think, oh no, we're not doing that in this
Yeah,
house.
she's thinking
Oh
like, how can
no.
I finagle this?
Mhm.
How do I get a horse in here, and how do I make roller skates?
But I think that the ingenuity of Pippi,
Hmm.
the defiance of her, and yet just the love that she had, like, everything always came back to, she was trying to do something for the greater good or for
Yeah.
someone. Like, and I think that's when we would watch it, we'd watch it over and over and over again. It was just Pippi was someone that I think Catherine would just aspired to be. Like, oh, if I could just get that. It was
And
a
Pippi
favorite.
was like for the time that Pippi was
Right.
created,
I was
which
just
was
thinking
early
that.
on, I feel like having her,
She's a
character
trailblazer.
and exactly an independence and kind of pushback was very like new
She
when
wasn't
it
a quick
came
Yes.
girl.
out,
Right. This is
especially
Yes.
for a girl.
pre-Hermione. Yeah,
Yep.
from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah. I
Right.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
And,
like we always talk about how much we love Hermione. I
mhm,
think because as we were growing up, that was like someone we saw in the movies and thought like,
mhm.
oh, I could be a smart girl, or I could
right.
know the answer. So same thing. How cool is it that you saw that, Jenny, growing up, and now you share with your
Yeah.
daughter, and
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, Pippi was just like I think one of the things that stands out to me was her even if she was being mischievous, it was like always coming back to her heart and like wanting
Yeah.
to do something good or try to get someone included or clean up a
Right.
mess that she
Mhm.
created
Correct.
because she had this fun idea. And I
Right.
think that is just something that even going back to the beginning where you were saying kids do have
Mhm.
this inner passion and things sometimes get snuffed out over time from, at worst bullying, in an
Mhm.
unkind way or not having access anymore
Yeah.
financially to something that you enjoy. I think that, it does show that it's in there. And I think organizations like yours kind of can direct people through not large financial, right? Barriers to connect
Yep.
people with things that they love, whether it's an elderly
Yeah.
person, whether it's a kid, whether it's a family system. And we recently talked about the episode Bluey, and just like how
Mhm.
they're a good example of like a regular family who does stuff wrong sometimes and
Right.
like
Yeah.
and it's a mess and
But
like but they still come together.
even that beloved kids show, they're dogs, right? Like
Yeah.
even like, and that's like such a popular show
Yep.
right now. And I think it's something about them being dogs, it makes them just like automatically lovable. Right. And
Right.
like it's just great. And you see like we were talking about their little tails wagging when they're
Yeah.
excited, and like it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, gosh, Jenny, I feel like we could just keep talking to you forever. You're such an inspiration. I think it's just
Thank
so
you.
cool to see someone grow something. As you're saying, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's almost like unbelievable when you look back on all the work you've done, all the people you're helping,
Yeah.
all the good you're putting out into the world. It's just so like inspirational.
Thank
And
you.
we do want to call on our listeners and our friends and family and anyone listening to please help support the Catherine Violet Hubbard Animal Sanctuary. So we will have links to donate on a page sponsored by Analyze Scripts, where you can donate as much or as little as you can. And we'd love for that to go to any part, obviously, of your organization to keep
Right.
supporting the work that you're doing. And then just to plug Catherine's Butterfly Party coming up on June 8th, 2024 from 12 to 4 p.m. at 3 Primrose Street in Newtown, Connecticut, rain or shine. I know Portia and I will be there. We're very excited. I'm going to try really hard not to adopt a pet just because we just did like 5 months ago and she's still a puppy, but it might happen. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think the fun thing about the butterfly party is that one, a lot of people are thinking about getting a pet and they wait till the butterfly party.
That's
And
awesome.
it's a great time to get a pet because it's summer. And if you've got
Yes.
a young family that are going to be around, they can be invested in sort of the grounding of the pet. But it's not just cats and dogs. I
Oh,
should
cool.
note. Yep.
That's
It's
awesome.
cats and dogs and horses, turtles,
Oh gosh.
parrots.
Okay. So I got to clean out my trunk because my kids keep like I said, we just adopted a dog a couple months ago around Christmas time. And now they want a gerbil. Now they also want a hamster. Now we want a lizard. Now I'm just like, you guys, we can't have a zoo,
Can't do this.
but maybe we can. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I know. I'll probably get a talking to before I go, like don't come home if you're going
Tends
to
to
come home with
adopt
another pet.
pets and then surprise
Yeah.
her husband.
Yeah. We have a lot of pets, so we'll see. But
But again, for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please go to our website, analyzescripts.com. We have a whole page devoted to this fundraiser. Please visit our Instagram, Analyze Scripts Podcast. We're going to keep posting the QR code over and over and over. And if you're local to Connecticut, we're also putting up flyers everywhere we go that will let us. So, we really hope to raise as much money as possible. And we hope this can be an ongoing annual fundraiser. We'd love to keep participating. Right. If you ever need mental health help or you want to, do those surveys with the seniors or anyone, we are happy to help figure that out. Because I swear, I'm sure you could prove it. And then I feel like that could open up a whole new realm of grant funding or, stuff like that.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love that.
You're in.
Great. Love it. I know we have you on the spot. You're on video. You can't back up now.
Great. It's great. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and catch us next week where we will be releasing our episode about the Bluey episode, The Surprise. So perfect timing. Again, all about animals.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.